All right, we will get started. Can everybody hear me and see my screen, okay? I cannot hear anyone, or see you, so let me know.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So today we're just gonna go really quickly over just what New Hampshire HOSA tries to do at conferences, the officer responsibilities throughout the year and at conferences. And I'm going to try to explain the idea of interns because it's a new thing, and then explain the application process and what myself and Mrs. Bean, the prior state advisor, is looking for in a good application. And then the last 15 minutes, we'll do a Q&A with our current state officers who are on the call. So to start, just a brief overview. The next few months, it's a really busy time of year for HOSA. So as you know, you are talking about all of these events at your schools, your local chapters. So we're kind of doing all the behind the scenes action of all of this stuff. So we're putting on this interest meeting. We're coordinating the applications, we're talking with your advisors, we're coordinating the scholarships. We are planning, February 1st is a big date for us. We are trying to coordinate all the registration. We see the back end of HOSA, CMS, where the advisors register all of you guys. So it's a lot behind the scenes, and it's kind of cool to see it all come together at the end of the day at the conference. So another thing is we're trying to prepare everybody for competitive events as much as we can, whether that's Instagram posts or this year we're going to do a little workshop on Zoom. We also added a new website, so the website is updated with CE resources and fundraising stuff that you can use with your local chapters. So just trying to be there for our members any way that we can. And then in March, just to keep this on your radar, that week, March 2nd to the 6th is testing week. So if you're taking a knowledge test, you will take that at SLC, but if you're taking a skills test and it's 2 rounds, you won't have time to do both rounds the day of. So that's who will be taking the tests. So if you have a second round, you'll be taking the test. That's it. So if you're only taking a test, you'll still have an event on SLC day. So this is a very old picture. Little background about HOSA. HOSA started in 1975, and New Hampshire joined 5 years later. So we are celebrating our 45th anniversary, where International HOSA is celebrating their 50th. So it's really cool to see this picture. They're putting a 50th anniversary commemorative book together, and this picture is going to be in there along with our current state officer team. So it's going to be cool to see the side by side, and there's going to be a lot of every other state and country in there that has a chapter. So some other things that officers do, we represent our chapter at ILC. So there are certain meetings at ILC that state officers have to attend. To advocate for New Hampshire and to also share our ideas with other state officers and network and things like that. So if you are elected a state officer, you would go to a state officer training at ILC if you were to attend. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. And then we also visit schools and try to recruit. This year we tried to do middle schools, so that's our big focus. Try to recruit new schools, and we visit either via Zoom or in person if we're close enough. And that's a really improved engagement. So getting into the different roles you can run for. So if you want to be a state officer, we have 2 roles for post-secondary. We have president and vice president. And then for secondary, we have 4 roles. Treasurer is currently vacant. I'm sure Mrs. Bean would appreciate the help with treasurer. She's kind of taken that on her own. But we have president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So if you want to be a state officer, your first step is to talk to your local advisor. They have the application, but the application is also available on our website. And you can email that completed packet application to the New Hampshire HOSA email by March 1st. So state officers will conduct their speeches during opening session, and they'll be inducted during closing session. So each chapter will have voting delegates depending on how many members are present, and they will cast their votes, and then we will induct you at closing. So these are the bylaws. It kind of explains in a more formal format what secondary and post-secondary means, explains some of the HOSA terminology. It also talks about the different types of memberships. And then most importantly, I want to find the officer roles. Yes. So here are the officer roles in, like I said, very formal wording. It shall be the duty of the president to preside over meetings of the state organization of New Hampshire HOSA and all meetings of the executive council. They can appoint committees, and they can prepare and submit the agenda to the state advisor before each meeting. Vice president, you represent all the members from each region at state meetings. So some states are really big, like Texas, and they have like 4 vice presidents, like an Eastern, a Central, and a whatever. We are small enough that we only have one. So it's a little bit easier for us. So she kind of represents all the members and carries out development programs with officers and, yes, lots of help with the FLC, SLC, member recruitment. And then our secretary takes notes of every meeting, keeps the records, keeps the minutes, carries official correspondence, and provides records of financial reports from the state advisor if somebody requests them. So just kind of the bookkeeper. And then we have members at large, historian, reporter. Yes. And we just had to fix some of the wording. That's why it's in yellow. But next, are there any questions about state officer positions before I move on to the internships? I'm trying to move fast because Zoom kicks us off at 40 minutes. Okay. So New Hampshire HOSA internships are new this year. The idea is that we remove the busy work from the officers. So say we need help like bringing guidelines to a specific room and the officers are currently helping people, the keynote speaker. So it's more important that we take care of the keynote speaker. That's priority at that point because they're a guest and they travel to be here. But we do need to get those guidelines over or we're going to delay that competitive event. So it's important that we have volunteers and I feel like having that internship title is a lot more, it shows your commitment to HOSA instead of just volunteering for one day. Our interns will prepare for the conference with us. Officers meet once a week on Sundays for an hour, but our interns will only have to attend one meeting a month. So we'll give you those dates ahead of time, but we'll just be kind of do a rundown of the day, what we'll need your help with, and then you'll have input on the conference as well. We might have questions for you or we want to hear your thoughts too, because you are a HOSA member just as much as we are. So there are 4 types of interns, starting with HOSA Hype. That will be led by our secretary and treasurer. If you are energetic, creative, outgoing, sociable, you need to energize the crowd. Once they get there at 8 a.m., some of the students are a little bit tired. You'll make that playlist for when they arrive, hype songs, and you'll be the kind of the promoters of all the events and breakouts and things. So, then HOSA Connect, you'll be led by the post-secondary officers. So if you're relationship builders, you're good networking. You'll support the alumni who are attending, any judges, new chapters who have never attended a conference before. We actually have quite a few of those this states. So this will be really awesome to have next year. And then next, HOSA PR, led by the vice president. It's best fit for a detail-oriented, anybody with Canva experience, really. It's a lot of marketing. So if you know how to reach student audiences, which you're all students, I'm sure you do, and you all, I know you know how to use Instagram. So that's kind of the idea with that. We want to reach as many accounts as possible, and then that in turn will lead us to partnerships with companies, and in turn will lead us with money, and then we could potentially decrease costs for attending conferences like this. So that is the idea. And then lastly, HOSA hosts. They'll be led by the president, and they'll be the ones welcoming, and kind of, it's like courtesy corps, at ILC. That is like checking in people at breakout sessions. You're greeting all the students who arrive, you're greeting the speakers, and then you're kind of helping to connect people as well with the new chapters. the way that would work, we would kind of assign you to a chapter, but that'll come later on. So if you're applying for an internship, the application's a little bit different. I will go over here. So to apply for interns, you only have to submit a personal statement, which can be really what you want it to be. It's just who are you, what school you're from, what position you're aiming for, and why you'd be a good fit, and then you can just email it to us. There's no page limit, there's no real guidelines for that. We just want to know who you are and why you want to be an intern and why you would be a good fit. For state officers, if you want to take a picture of this is how to find the state officer application, but I'm going to show you in just a second. I'll give you a second. State officers are due on March 1st. Internship applications are due on February 1st. So keep that in mind. State officers have a little bit more time because you do need advisor approval, and I think you need a principal's signature. So let me go to our website. Excuse me. It's just bit.ly.NewHampshireHOSA, and then it'll bring you to this long link with my name on it, so that's why I changed it. So this is our website. It just has lots of important dates, but what I'm here to show you is resources. So it's nice and organized here, so you can just scroll to the bottom to applications right here. So state officer application is right here. The year is 2023 on here, so just disregard that. It's okay. So you talk about offices held, your HOSA involvement, you get to brag a little bit, your one-page written essay, how can I contribute to HOSA, your local advisor, like I said, you need their support,